Today's video is sponsored by Central Mask Co. Central Mask Co. offers double-layer handmade masks created by expert seamsters using fun and creative textiles. See the comments below for more information.
Good day, mate. I'm Australian, mate.
Local douchebag Canadian computer collector here, and I am absolutely excited. We're gonna do something useful. It's not just gonna be me pawing at a bunch of old garbage. We're gonna fix a MacBook Pro Retina that a friend of mine brought to me. His MacBook Pro is like the lifeblood of his operation, and he ended up spilling a glass of water on it somehow. It wouldn't turn on or anything like that. And he said, is there anything we can do? Instantly, I was thinking, well, how can we avoid paying for another motherboard? I knew from a friend of mine that he'd picked up a bunch of stuff from a guy who had a 2012 MacBook Pro Retina, a 15-inch, with a broken screen that still worked. And he wanted $100 for it, which is actually a very good deal. Normally, I think people would ask like $250 for one in that shape. We're talking Canada dollars, Canadian tokens. So what we did is we went down, we bought that MacBook for $100. I ended up doing a swap on it where I put the functional screen from my friend's laptop onto the one with the broken screen and then switched the hard drives out. And that was basically it. He had a functional MacBook Pro again. Just so happened that this new one had a nicer keyboard as well. In reality, you could easily do this at home following a YouTube video. You just need a couple tools. The micro screwdriver set, you can buy a cheap one off Amazon for like 40 or 50 bucks, and then you would need, a plastic tool to disconnect the battery. So let's take a look at my friend's MacBook that has got him somewhat shook. Why don't we hang out by the brook, find ourselves a little nook. Pierce your ears and throw some makeup on that toaster. It's time to get started. Alright, here's a first look at the donor laptop. Lots of little scratches and dents all over it. Had a black plastic case on top, which I just threw in the recycling bin. And, as it was described, it has a broken screen. But, looks like it's still working, so that is good. We want the motherboard from this machine. Lining them up together, sadly, the backplate of my friend's MacBook Pro doesn't have any of the rubber feet left on it. However, it is also not as dented, so we're going to stick with that same backplate for this project. First things first, disconnect the battery to avoid a nasty shock while you're working on this equipment. As we'll see on the other machine, I did not disconnect the battery, and nothing happened, but you want to do it anyway. Quick little cleanup to get some of the dust out of this machine. Not that it really matters, but I'm just kind of cleaning up some of the areas I'll be working on. So this is the water damage book. We're just going to put it to the side, and then we're going to grab the one with the broken screen and open it up, because since neither of these machines truly boot to a state where I can check their stats, I need to actually make sure that they are the same machine, even though there's like a 95% chance they are. So yeah, everything lines up, everything is the same, and we are good to go. So getting started, we're going to disconnect the display cable using a plastic spudger. Oh, and there's the battery that we need to connect as well. So now we're going to continue disconnecting it. And then we're going to unplug the Wi-Fi antennas. Or the Wi-Fi antenna cables, rather. And even though it is glued down with adhesive, you just want to peel that back. You don't have to take any of those other connectors off. I was teasing there, just teasing. And then you want to put the MacBook on its side with it open so that you can unscrew the hinge screws without it sliding around or falling down. And then once those screws are out, it's actually just a matter of bending it to get the screen to come off. And then since this was the first time I'd done this with a Retina machine, I just always want to make sure that everything is disconnected. If you're doing this with another laptop that you haven't worked on before, just double, triple check that everything is disconnected before you take the display off. The last thing you want to do in the world is rip a display cable, especially on a display that you need. This isn't a display that we actually need, so it's not too imperative. But we do want to keep the logic board sound, and so here's the one we're going to pull the SSD and display from. So all of my friends' data is on the SSD, and for people who aren't initiated, all you really need to do is pop that SSD into the new machine and boot it up, and basically you're good to go. So here we are disconnecting the display cable and the Wi-Fi antenna cables once more. Gently shifting them out of the way because this is the one we want to keep. Sometimes you have to work it. If you work it, let me search it. Shibba-dib-dab-dab and reverse it. Alright, I'm going to loosen up those hinge screws. Even take a few of them out. Goodness gracious. So one thing to think about when doing something like this is, does it logically make sense, right? Like, my friend had a water-damaged MacBook, and there's a guy who's not a computer guy. His first thought was, oh shoot, I'm going to have to take it to Apple. Well, let's think about it. We hurt the logic board with liquid. We can't just fix the logic board because we aren't Louis Rossman. We don't have that talent. So what are we going to do? We're going to find another logic board in a machine that has one that works. And this goes for most of the other parts on these machines. If you have a fan that doesn't work, or, you know, like even just something simple, you can either find the parts online or you can find a broken machine and pull the parts out. And that's what Right to Repair is all about. And that's what, hopefully, some of the videos that this channel has encourages you to start looking into. Because it is very satisfying when you do figure something like this out. Alright, so we have the monitor now attached to the other machine, and we're just tightening things up a little bit.
Mom says she can't spend another minute in that room on Harstone Street. She sees Eugene morning, noon, and night. She sees him climb in the bed to look out the street for Oliver, and sometimes sees Oliver outside and Eugene inside. The two of them chatting away.
Alright, so we basically have a machine that is ready to roll, and we have to put a bottom case on it. However, the bottom case is very dirty, and we don't want to keep the one that I just set down there because it was full of dents. So let's spray some cleaner on this one and rub it down with paper towels. Alright, and time to pull out the old solid state drive and put in the new one. So this machine went from this logic board went from a 256 to a 512. And we'll just secure that case on with minimal screws and do our first boot test. Lord knows, nothing ever goes right the first time, so if you put all the screws on, you will end up regretting it. And we're gonna spread this baby open like butter or ice cream. You spread ice cream? Drop me a message in the comments if you spread ice cream. And we hit the power button. We're just waiting to see if this bad mother will turn on. Okay, so we got the HDMI in because it wasn't responding at first, so I ended up restarting it and... Maybe, baby! It looks like we have a working machine. So, what I just did there was readjusted the position of the screen, as the first time I put it on, it was slightly off. So the way to do that is just loosen the hinge screws and slide it around a bit, and then tighten them up again.
Alright, ladies and gents, this concludes the saga of my friend's MacBook Pro Retina with the water damage. Yes, I realize I'm wearing different clothes from the start of the video. I thought about putting on that same shirt again, but then I realized that I had more facial hair, and for me to even reach that much facial hair takes like a month. So like I said at the start of the video, this is probably the most cost-effective way to fix a water-damaged MacBook Pro, or I guess any real laptop for that matter. Really though, the challenge is tracking down one that is broken, but still has a functional logic board and all that stuff. If you do choose to go this route, one of the nice things is broken MacBooks still have some decent value. So you can purchase the broken one, remove the parts that you need, and then sell whatever is left as an incomplete unit on eBay, and that'll cover either, a portion of or all of your cost. Buy the broken MacBook, watch the YouTube video, use your tiny screwdrivers, and chalk up a win.
For the good guys.
Thank you for watching Canadian Computer Collector. I hope this has been helpful to you. Oh, please like and subscribe. If you don't ask, they just won't do it, so here I am asking you to do it.